So, is the Canon EOS R worth it in 2022? That's the question I look to help you answer today. If you're looking for a specs breakdown on the camera and everything like that, go to Canon's website. This video is strictly going to be about my experiences with the camera. I will cover a little bit about the camera itself, but yeah. So I've had the EOS R for about 3 months now. I've taken it on road trips, I've filmed with it, I've taken photos with it, I've done a fair bit with it. The Canon EOS R is very similar to my old Canon M50, except it just feels plus sized. So just a quick overview on this camera. It is the first mirrorless full frame camera by Canon, and it sports a 30 plus megapixel sensor, as well as it can record in 8-bit C-Log at 4K 30 frames a second. Doesn't that sound great? Sounds great to me, that's why I got it. Now putting that into practice, it delivers. That it does. Photos, tack sharp. I took it to the Great Ocean Road, took it shooting around Melbourne, absolutely loved it. Now first thing I want to talk about is carrying this body around. Yes, it is a lot bigger than my old M50, but it's fairly light because it is a mirrorless camera. It doesn't have to carry that old prism cube that you see in your DSLRs, which is great. It's great. Having a mirrorless camera, once you go mirrorless, you can't go back. And also, this is my first time having a full frame sensor. My mind was blown the first time I saw 16mm at its actual focal length. That for me, another mind blowing. Absolutely mind blowing. The camera does have a flip out screen. It's fully articulating, so it ticks the box for vloggers. It's good for that. And it just feels nice in the hands with that deep grip. And even though it came out 4 years ago, the design has aged well, and that's why they're still using it in their R-line cameras. So as I said before, I took this camera with me on holiday, snapped a few photos, recorded a few videos, and I'll let you be the judge of it. So the one thing I love about this camera is that it produces really sharp images. At this point, it's still the second highest megapixel count for full frame sensors in the mirrorless line. So it's only being beaten by the Canon R5 at this point, which is their flagship camera. So what all that means is you're gonna be able to crop into your photo and it's still gonna hold a lot of detail in that image. Now I do understand that a lot of you are gonna be editing your photos in post, but just knowing that you've got the Canon color science on your side helps a lot. And Canon color science is just unmatched at this point. Yeah, I said it. Who's gonna tell me otherwise? Who's gonna say something? So, talking about video on this camera, it can record at 4K 30 frames a second, asterisk, let me get back to it, at 8-bit C-Log color profile 1. So it doesn't have C-Log 3 and it doesn't have 10-bit. At this point, I don't see a big difference, but I might just be uneducated. But to me, as I've been using it, I don't see a difference. I'm actually recording at 8-bit C-Log 1, and I'm recording at 1080p. Now you're probably wondering, Sergeant, why you're recording at 1080p if the camera can do 4K? Well, that's because 4K has a crop. Yes, I know, it's bad, it's bad. Let me explain. If you're recording at 4K, it crops a fair bit. Now this isn't ideal if you're working in tight studios, or it defeats a little bit of the purpose. But what I've found as a workaround, and it's not perfect, again, all the try-hard video makers out there, the professionals, please do not get mad at what I'm about to say, but I record in 1080p, still in C-Log 8-bit, and I just upscale to 4K in post. Now, chill. So far, I haven't seen any issues. The footage you get from this camera looks fine upscaled at 4K personally, but I do understand that not being able to record in native 4K at 30 frames a second is a big deal if you like uncropped footage. Now, I have used the 4K with the crop, and I don't see it as that big of a deal. Especially if you're recording further distances, then it's actually a benefit. But to me personally, I just don't record in 4K. Now, is that a big deal? Again, I don't think so, but this has actually been a blessing in disguise because a lot of computers can't actually edit 4K footage in real time without it stuttering or lagging, or without a computer crash. What that also means is you're going to be able to record for longer because your SD card won't fill up as fast because your file sizes are significantly smaller. That's just how it works. That's just how it works. And again, you can upscale to 4K in post. Look, if you don't think about it, it's not actually there. 4K 1080p, it's all just a myth. So, is this camera worth it in 2022? In my personal opinion, I believe yes, because it can record in 4K 30 at 8-bit C-Log with a crop, albeit, but if you're doing it for video work where you aren't in front of the camera, I imagine it's amazing. If you've got space to work with, it works. And it still retains the dual pixel autofocus. Or you can record at 1080p and upscale it in post, and it'll look fine if you're uploading to YouTube or socials or anything like that. People will not see the difference because a lot of them are watching it on their phones anyway. And thirdly, it takes insane photos. They are tack sharp, they have a lot of detail in it, and this is my ride or die camera. I will live by the camera at this point. Not to mention, you can find this camera on sale a lot nowadays. Like, it's almost ridiculous how often this camera is on sale. I found mine secondhand for like $1,000 less than retail. At the end of the day, it is up to you. If you don't mind spending the extra and getting the camera you want, or getting a newer camera or anything like that, I mean, you can make your own decision, that's fine. But if you're willing to look past the fact that it is almost 4 years old, and it has a crop in 4K for those people who are recording that professional 4K footage and don't want to crop, then this is an amazing camera that will not let you down. And the battery life's great too. Alright guys, so without that being said, thank you for watching the video, and peace out.